For the next few moments, I want to address a very daring commitment that we're about to make district-wide. And this may actually come as a surprise to some of our own teachers that are sitting with us today. Test prep is officially dead in Dallas ISD. We are going to prioritize the talent of our teachers with high-quality instruction. Now, this is a shift in paradigm and practice that creates both challenges and opportunities for teachers and students. That's why I've decided to invite Josue Torres, master teacher at Cesar Chavez Learning Center, and Eric Hale, 2021 Region 10 Elementary Teacher of the Year, also a State Teacher of the Year, to discuss the significance of this commitment. Let's welcome them to the stage. So, let's start with a question, gentlemen. First, welcome and thank you both for choosing Dallas ISD for your calling. So I heard something the other day that kind of shocked me and probably shouldn't have as a former teacher myself, but I continue to hear that it takes approximately 2, 3, or 4 hours, sometimes daily, preparing lesson plans, grading, evaluating each and every day. Can you all respond to that and tell me what your experience is?
Sure. Good night, everyone. So speaking from experience, and Eric and I had the opportunity to serve together in the Teacher Vacancy Task Force, started by the governor, and that was one of the concerns that were raised by many teachers around the state. So it's been a big issue, and it's driving our teachers out of the classroom, especially those newer teachers, because they are the ones that feel more overwhelmed when they see all the demands of the job. So that was my experience my first year in Dallas ISD. I remember that first year in 2011, and some of you might remember, we had something called Curriculum Central. And there was a lot.
Was that when we had CPGs?
Yes. Lots of information in there. For a new teacher, it was overwhelming. There were many sleepless nights for me. Some nights I would go to bed crying at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I never thought I would go beyond my first year. I had a commitment to Teach for America, to teach for 2 years. And I was like, after my 2 years, I'm done. But I had a support system. I had my Teach for America mentor, and I had my Dallas ISD mentor, and they got me through those tough days. It got better from then on, and this is my 12th year as a teacher now. But thank you.
We're glad you stayed.
But the point is that for new teachers, having to deal with that and without having a support system, that's what's driving them out of the classroom. And we cannot afford to have this cycle repeating over and over again. Now, to their credit, Dallas ISD in 2018, my experience has been different from there on. So when I went to Cesar Chavez, the district started providing lesson plans, those slides that created kudos to our coaches. They do a great job with that. We have the lesson cycle with the I do, the we do, the you do, DOL, and that's now I just have to focus on teaching. So that has been really helpful. I know as a veteran teacher now, I spend less time worrying about what to teach. Now I have to focus on how to teach it. And if that is helpful to me, I can imagine that's even more helpful for a new teacher.
Mr. Hale, what about you?
It's just about time. We are blessed to serve children of the highest quality. We have some of the best teachers in America of the highest quality. But we've been using tools, second-rate tools, and we got first-rate children and staff members. And so now, because we're all in the business of serving, we can focus on doing what our real job is, which is serving. So with having high quality instructional materials already done for teachers, teachers can get back to the joy of learning and mastering their craft, right? Through preparation, right? Understanding the cycle of learning, thinking about and internalizing based off of the children that they serve, because everybody's children is different. How do I flow like water and meet the needs of all my students? When I know that their lights aren't on, when I know that they're hungry, that I know that they just got out of CPS. The teachers that we have in our district, they serve at such a high level that that's why they were getting burnt out. We're finally going to have the opportunity to work smarter and not harder and make more of an impact. So when you think about the history of DISD and the lack of quality of the curriculum that we've used throughout history, but then you look at the quality of citizens and global leaders that we produced, with that, the sky's the limit. We're the #1 urban school district in America. As we go, Texas goes. And as Texas goes, from an economic standpoint, America goes. So it's just a beautiful thing.
Thank you so much for that. Along those lines of high quality instructional materials, we've had about 80 schools that have been using some of the high quality materials so that we could learn some lessons before we took that to scale. And these come with grade level lesson plans that are aligned to the state standards. But these are not scripted. I want to be very clear that these are structured, not formulaic. This is exactly to allow the teacher the creativity to focus on what you both have talked about in terms of how we deliver instruction. Both of you, as are all our teachers, are capable of going to find lessons, but that takes time. And that's the reason that we exist, is to provide that support to you so you can focus on your creativity and your craft. So teachers are telling us that they don't have to spend as much time when we provide you all the high quality materials, not to mention the fact that that creates consistency and comprehensiveness across our district. As both of you have experienced, we tend to have high intra-district mobility. So for the people here tonight who haven't earned their paycheck by being in a classroom like you, what does planning how to teach mean from a teacher's perspective? Share very briefly, what does that look like? We'll start with you, Eric.
It looks like me taking the time to go through the lesson before I give it to my students so I can know what the hiccups could be. The children I serve, a lot of them are, they speak Spanish and they speak English. And so a lot of them come to me and they don't have the background knowledge, especially from a vocabulary standpoint. So as I'm going through the lesson, a good quality lesson that we're now having, I'm able to look and see like, oh, they're not gonna understand that word. So I have to find a synonym that brings it home to them. So now we've made it real. And then I can say, this word means that. So like if the word was in the text, sophisticated, my kids might not have ever heard that before. So I'll say, it's like that game you guys, have played before. Have you ever played a game when it was really, really tricky, but you eventually got through it and you figured it out? That game is sophisticated. Oh, I get it now, Mr. Hale. I understand. Well, I wouldn't know how to attack that from jump and put out that fire before it even starts to burn if I didn't have the time to go through my materials. Now, once I go through my materials and I look at all of the potential obstacles, then I can focus on enjoyment, engagement. We got to get back to pushing joy and engagement in a loving, safe environment with high quality instruction. And I know both can be done at the same time. I've seen people in our school district do it. But we have got to provide a space where our kids want to learn. They want to be in our classroom. And so now that we're not going to have to spend so much time doing these lesson plans, we can truly hone our craft. Because at the end of the day, serving, being an educator, is an art form. So when you think of these master painters, they're not spending all of their time trying to get quality paint, looking for their tools. No, they're working on their stroke. It's no different than what we do when we're dealing with our lesson plans and we're trying to find ways to connect with our students so they can learn at the highest level, a global level. We need more time to practice our stroke, and now we'll have that time.
What a great analogy. Josue?
Agree, completely agree. Great, Eric. Along those lines, basically, it allows me, when we see that material provided to us, to focus on what matters, okay? And it's mastering my content. And effective teachers should be able to master the content and help the students master the content. It allows me to think on how am I gonna make this lesson relatable to my students? How I'm going to make this content relatable and meaningful to my students. It helps me stimulate critical thinking on my students. So the focus turns from trying to build a lesson from scratch or thinking what am I gonna teach, to how am I gonna bring the best out of my students through this lesson. I start thinking about possible misconceptions and how to address those. So it's make a huge difference, not only in a veteran teacher, but also in a new teacher that only now has to focus on how can I be even a better teacher, and how can I take this and bring the best out of my students, holding accountable to high expectations. So I'm glad that Dallas ISD is thinking about that, and I'm glad that Dallas ISD is addressing this issue at this moment.
And so this last one, say we get rid of all the unnecessary practice tests and benchmarks and common assessments that we currently make you all do, worksheets that pretend to give you the test to our students. How about we put them all together and we have a huge bonfire and maybe make some s'mores. That's gonna give you some free time, maybe. It's a novel approach to give teachers time to teach. And so in Dallas ISD, we're gonna return the classroom to the teacher for them to teach. So
thank you.
You are the best of the best anywhere. What are the kinds of things you could see yourself doing with students, truly being able to have more instructional time?
First, it's about time. And
Well, I just got here.
Now, let me preface this by saying that, of course, that assessments are state mandated, so we cannot get rid of the STAR test, for example, and it's a reality that we must face. However, when we think about 21st century skills, what do you think about? Critical thinking. We're thinking about teamwork, collaboration. We're thinking about resiliency, right? And those are things that you cannot measure on a state assessment. I read a post the other day on Facebook that had many of those words, and leadership and all those skills that are valued by the companies that are here. And they know that those are the skills that are valued at this moment. You can be a great athlete, but if you don't have discipline, you know what happens with some of our athletes, unfortunately, when they don't have the discipline. And those are the things that we need, that a test cannot quantify. And when I think about that's what I'm thinking about my students, the 21st century skills that they need, and that there's not, I'd rather have a student that's persistent, relentless in the classroom, that won't give up, and I can argue that that student is going to do better in life that a student that might be getting good grades, but the moment something doesn't go his or her way, might shut down and give up. So those are the skills that allowing us to focus on teaching will give us more time to do those things, to push those skills that our students need to succeed in this 21st century. So I'm so grateful for that, and I'm looking forward to it, because those are the skills that our kids need in order to go ahead and succeed in their lives.
What would you like to add?
It allows new teachers and veteran teachers the opportunity to have the freedom to fail, to have the time to go through the process and hone their skills with the children. It allows them a safe place to let the kids lead the learning. It allows teachers that view educating children as service extra hours to do home visits, extra hours to sit with a parent and help them look for a job, extra time to do all the things that nobody really thinks that teachers do, while understanding that I have a solid framework of materials and curriculum that I can trust and believe, if I take the time to learn it, will take our kids to where they need to be. And so I'm just excited about that opportunity.
Well, thank you. We're doing this for the purposes of ensuring that our kids all get the good stuff from our great teachers, and the test will take care of itself if joy is in the classroom with on-grade level materials, and we don't need to do drill and kill to prepare for a state assessment. We know we have the talent in you and the partnerships to make that happen. So thank you, Josue and Eric. It is because of educators like you that Dallas ISD continues to grow as a premier urban district. Let's give these remarkable educators a hand.